6 p.m. by 6 o'clock. Viewers, thank you so much for joining us on this edition of the news. Right away, we begin with our major stories. As usual, age fraud is one of the most common phenomena in our society today, especially in Cameroon. And are you one of those who reduce your age for whatsoever reason? In this edition of the news, health experts will be telling us more on some of the devastating effects or consequences of age reduction, especially on our health. And also in this newscast, we'll tell you that football lovers in Cameroon express worries over the silence of the Cameroon Football Federation Fecafoot on the passing away of Cameroonian football icon Bami Modeste in France. Stay with us for details and more. Welcome back, viewers. We begin this edition of the news with this human interest story from the Central region. 15 alleged drug traffickers have been arrested in Equinoxe. Equinoxe is a locality in Yaoundé. They were arrested during a raid which was carried out by security officers. Asman Jikan Gabriel tells us in the following write-up.
The items seized by the elements of the 1st Region Gendarmerie Brigade in Yaoundé were identity cards. According to Lieutenant Colonel Guy Abanda, the head of the Criminal Investigation Unit, these identity cards will serve the suspects in their future operations. They use these identity cards for future use because with the identity cards, they could have many identities, which could permit them have several telephone numbers to steal from the citizens by making unknown calls, which is known as calling. The forces of law and order also seized a huge quantity of hard drugs like cannabis, Thai and Caillou. Lieutenant Jean Juma of the criminal unit explains. This is called Thai. This little quantity is sold at 5,000 francs CFA. This is a form of cocaine called Caillou, and it is sold at 5,000 francs CFA too. When you consume it, it turns you into something else. These are wraps of cannabis. This pack cost 10,000 francs CFA. It was during an operation that took place at the ghetto neighborhood behind the Ikunu market in Yaoundé that the forces of law and order seized these items. The success of this operation was thanks to the collaboration of the population. We interrogated some young men we arrested with some hard drugs. It is from there that we followed our informant who took us to the site, which is the biggest in Yaoundé. 15 people were arrested during this operation with ages ranging between 17 and 40 years old, amongst them a student and a military officer. While one accepted the accusations, the other denied. From time to time, I smoke. I buy the one that costs 100 francs CFA. I don't know them. I'm not involved. I went to remove my younger one before I was arrested. To successfully sell their products, these suspects had motorcycles and a car at their disposal. The head of the group, who is an ex-convict, is presently being interrogated at the State's Defense Secretariat, said, before he will be later handed to the gendarmes for further investigation.
And now the planned election at the Cameroon Medical Council might not hold as programmed. This follows a call for that election to be cancelled and an urgent legal procedure opened at the Yaoundé Court of First Instance. A reporter for me, Armstrong Sander, tells us that the Minister for Public Health is also implicated.
The call for the court to cancel the election billed for January 18, 2023 came from one of the 7 candidates vying for the position of President of the Cameroon Medical Council, the CMC. In a complaint filed at the administrative bench of the Yaoundé Court of First Instance, Dr. Theodat Manga called for faster than normal writ of summons against the Minister of Public Health, the President of the Cameroon Medical Council, and the Medical Council to answer on irregularities and violations pertaining to the election. Among the many accusations, Dr. Theodat Manga says the Minister of Public Health falsified the deontological guiding principles of the Medical Council before publishing conditions of eligibility of voters. He also accuses the minister of illegitimately convening the general election against the association's bylaws, which state that the election is convened by the medical council itself. Under his claims of falsification, Dr. Chodat Manga says the minister, in his final list of eligible voters, included names of medical doctors who have not been up to date with financial contributions within the association. His complaint also carries a list of irregularities linked to the incumbent president and the Cameroon Medical Council itself. Taken to a special judge in charge of urgent procedures, Dr. Manga asked the court to annul the planned election and order the minister to resolve the many irregularities and loopholes linked to the election before it is reconvened. His request, which succeeded in securing faster than normal writs of summons for an urgent procedure at the Yaoundé Court of First Instance. The verdict expected before the 18th of January 2023 will either see the general election at the Cameroon Medical Council upheld or suspended.
And now, following a release some time ago from the Ministry of Basic Education, only children who are aged 12 would have to register for the common entrance and first school living certificate in examination. But some parents, reporter Lucille Yengu Esie met here in the city of Douala, said they are not okay with that decision because it might push some parents to add the ages of their children. Let's now have the report of Lucille Yengu Esie.
According to the Law of Orientation of Education in Cameroon, Law number 98/004, April 14, 1988, it is compulsory for a child to be 12 years old before enrolling into Form 1. Parents who have their kids below the age of 12 years and have to take their exams say they are against the decision.
I don't think that decision is all right, because if the child is intelligent, they can leave the child to forward their education as the brain of the child is open. So I don't approve of the decision of the minister. Yes, like in my case, when I see my first daughter, she entered at the age of 11 years in Form 1. Me, I believe that they should leave the child to continue with the age that the child will start the education and forward with the school. The limit age is not good. No, they can leave the child even if it's 9 years or 10 years to forward the education.
To children or parents to wait 12 years old in order to send your son in to present concours is not a good decision.
In same line, others think with the evolution of technology, children should be allowed to register for exams, not considering their ages.
I'm against the decision that the minister has taken that if you are not above 12 years, you are not supposed to enter secondary school. At first, we could accept that, but now, when technology has gone too far, you see children at the age of 10, 11 years ready for secondary school. Mentally, physically, they are matured. Presently, I have a child in class 6 and is 11 years old, doing well, having an average of more than 16. So I don't see any reason why she should not go to secondary school.
Why to some parents the decision is right.
C'est vrai qu'à première vue, le ministre a totalement raison.
He explains most children get blocked at a certain level when they hurry. At a certain class like upper seed, they get confused because their age is not equivalent to the knowledge acquired.
C'est pas évident. Parfois au niveau terminal, on les retrouve plus ont totalement disparu.
With this situation, some people think some parents might be forced to increase their children's age in order to meet up with the requirements.
And still talking about age reduction in Cameroon, in the field of sports, the national under-17 team of Chad won't be part of the Unifa Cup. In Limbe, the team was eliminated after some of their players were found to be overage. Smart Dikan Gabriel talked to some football trainers. One of them, Clement Zeko, who thinks the age problem is a serious problem. The age issue is a serious problem, especially in the field of football.
The aspect of age reduction has become one of the most talked topic in Cameroon for the past days. The entire nation was shocked after a total of 21 players of the national under-17 team were declared not eligible to participate at the Under-17 Central African Football Federations Union UNIFA Cup taking place in Limbe. The players were ruled out after going through a test to determine their ages, which had different results not related to the ages they presented on their birth certificate. According to a football trainer, Clement Zeko, this aspect is scientific. To understand this current phenomenon, we have to go scientific. In sports, we use the age of the bones, and to get the age of the bones, we carry out radiology tests on the bones. It is from there that we see that the age of the bone doesn't correspond with the age on paper. Coach Clement Zeko says it's punishment to a country that waits for the last minute to do things, particularly as the under-17 is the last stage. 17 years is the end of the training stage, so it was supposed to be done earlier, even though we no longer do it again. Since we don't anticipate, we wait for the last day to come up with a group, and at the end, we see that the group is made up of persons who were not supposed to be there, because the most important aspect was age.
L'élément primordial de ce groupe, c'est l'âge.
If Cameroon could save their name by quickly replacing the 21 players ruled out, it is not the case for Chad, who were eliminated from the UNIFAC tournament a few hours to kick off of the competition. The Democratic Republic of Congo didn't even come to Cameroon, as 15 out of the 20 players tested positive to the radiology test to determine their ages.
And now we talk something else. Pupil lawyers in Cameroon have been faced by several challenges lately. Our reporter, Babila Jonathan, spoke with some of them who explained what they have been going through for some time now because their training has not been launched in this report.
The practice is facing a lot of challenges, naturally from all angles, charlatans and lack of training, and you name the rest. During our campaign, within our framework of the roadmap we sent out, continuous legal training was one of the key things we said we're going to focus on, and this is part of it. Because like most professions, the legal profession requires a lot of continuous legal revision, because it's a very dynamic profession. It's a very dynamic profession, and it's getting more and more dynamic. The laws change every day. So that's why we're saying that the lawyers need to be trained so that they can meet up with the evolution of the laws. It's going to be continuous. It's going to be in all the regions. At times it's going to be presential, and at times it's going to be online. So it's a continuous, permanent activity. Yes, and for the lawyer to be enrolled or to be inscribed on the bar roll of each year, he must show proof that he has put in the requisite number of hours required by our internal rules and regulations for continuous legal training, because it is a basic requirement. If you do not read as a lawyer, if you do not follow the changes in the law, then you are not a lawyer.
And Cameroonian lawyers are upgrading their skills and ability to compete with their peers on the international scene. This is the purpose of a training session that has brought together both civil and common law lawyers here in Douala. Let's now have more in this excerpt of the Bâtonnier or the Bar Council President, Barrister Erimba.
Is the Minister of State, Minister of Justice, and Keeper of the Seals. I wrote to him in September. We had a meeting, and he indicated to me that it was the logistics were not there, and we hope that with the new finance law, the provisions, we are going to do something. In the past, the bar has always given a helping hand, a financial helping hand, to see that it is launched. I think when it comes to that, we will do. It's not really an immediate priority, because there are certain things that we think, the Bar Council thinks that we should have them amended in our bylaws to enable a better functioning of the bar, which includes the launching of the exams. The students that come out of the university will understand that there are some of them who have the ambition to become lawyers. The bar exams is launched at the request of the bar, or the law requires that they should launch it. So for now, we have made the request, and we have discussed with the minister. He said the means are not there. We've agreed. Now the budget has been voted. We are working on that. We are working on that. But we cannot think that it is the students who leave the university that have to put pressure. It's never happened with the medical corps. It's never happened with the notary. It's never happened with the bailiffs. And the bar cannot be a ground where, when people think that they need employment, they feel that the bar is the door for them to knock and put pressure. We will get the exams launched, but it is not going to be under pressure from the students. We as lawyers, we need them, because we need a continuity.
And football lovers in Cameroon, we told you in the headlines, have been expressing worries over the silence of the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, on the passing away of Cameroonian football icon Mbami Modeste some time ago in Paris, France. Our reporter Innocent Azet spoke with some football lovers in Cameroon here in Douala. He now tells us more.
Mad Lion and Cameroon international midfielder Modeste Mbami on Saturday, January 7, at the age of 40 in Paris, France, due to heart attack, shocked fans, Cameroonians and lovers of football worldwide. This sparked a wide range of reactions on social media, including FIFA president. What many Cameroonians at home and abroad do not understand is how and why the Cameroon Football Federation, FECAFOOT, is totally mute when it was expected to break the news with an official reaction, even when patience was nursed to be present close to a week after the death of the former indomitable lion. No official reaction has been made by the nation's football association. This has forced millions of unanswered questions from the mouth of observers on whether FECAFOOT truly cares about those who sacrifice their strength and talent to defend the national colors in international competitions. Only Dynamo FC of Douala reacted to the death of Mbami Modeste, its former player. According to keen observers, Mbami is not the only case. One who prefers to speak off camera recalls the case of Benjamin Roger Massing, who died on December 9, 2017, after playing for the Cameroon national team, which he represented at the 1990 FIFA World Cup. He says former Cameroon international Patrick Mboma was among those who paid tribute to Massing, who died in a day at the age of 55, something FECAFOOT failed to do for the hero. Apart from ignoring the death of former strikers, FECAFOOT is also criticized for snubbing striking happenings in the country. The Observer reminds that FECAFOOT failed to ensure that the national team pays tribute or grants a minute of silence to the over 10 compatriots who died in a landslide in the Damas neighborhood in Yaoundé on November 27, 2022, during their opening match of the World Cup in Qatar. Just like other Cameroonians at home and abroad, the Observer, in regrets of this unscrupulous silence on such striking events in Cameroon, calls for repentance on the part of the Football Association to value lives and issues of national interest by also punctuating on them with all the influential powers it has.
And now out of Cameroon, we move on to neighboring Gabon. The new Prime Minister of Gabon is one of the long-time loyal allies of President Ali Bongo. Alain-Claude Bilibizier has occupied several positions of responsibility in the Gabonese government. Let's now have more with Babila Jonathan.
September 16, 1967 in Makuku, Alain-Claude Bilibizier studied literature at the Omar Bongo University of Libreville. He was appointed Minister of Communication and elected member of the National Assembly of Gabon in 2006. In 2007, he left the Ministry of Communication to become Deputy Minister of Transport, and in 2011, Alain-Claude Bilibizier ceased from being a member of the National Assembly. March 2012, he became advisor to the President of the Republic and government spokesperson. Alain-Claude Billiet-Binze took over the helm of the Ministry of Communication for the second time in 2015. He later became Minister of State, Minister of Digital Economy and Minister of Culture and Art in October 2016 and Minister of Transport in 2018. July 2020, he is named Minister of Energy and Water Resources, official government spokesperson in March 2022 and Deputy Prime Minister in October 2022. At 56, he is now Prime Minister of Gabon since January 9, 2023, taking over from Rose Christian Raponda, who resigned to become Vice President.
And that was it for the first part of the news. Thank you so much, viewers, for always being there. Don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. We will be talking about the negative effects of age reduction or age fraud, especially on our health. Stay with us. Welcome back, viewers. On Talking Point tonight, we are receiving Dr. Glory Beseke Anye. She is a medical practitioner, a medical doctor, so to speak. And we are talking today, like I mentioned a while ago, we are talking about the devastating effects of age reduction, which seems to be a common phenomenon in our society today in Cameroon. Doctor, thank you so much for accepting to be our guest tonight. On Talking Point, we notice that people have the tendency of always reducing their ages. Sometimes some people add for various reasons. As a medical practitioner, is that correct?
Right, thank you so much and good evening. First is to say it's a criminal act. Second is to look at why these people would rather increase their ages or decrease their ages. In advanced countries, you hardly have issues of age reduction or increase because the system is arranged in such a way that once a child is born, automatically information is inputted. So it's computerized. There's no how, no way one can change the date of birth. But yeah, there are so many openings, windows to which people can easily do that. And for reasons, there are various reasons why they do that. So it's a criminal act. It's not a good act.
Okay, we're talking there about the legal part of it. You're a medical doctor, so we want to have the view of a physician. What can be some of those negative effects or consequences of age fraud, that is reducing or adding your age? But we know in our society, most times people have the tendency of reducing their ages. What can be some of the effects on our health?
Right. Physiologically, let me go with reducing the age. Physiologically, as we increase in age, the anatomy of the body and the physiology of the body will change in a way that the treatment plan within the hospital will affect all these changes. So if I have maybe a 20-year-old, a 40-year-old in front of me, and you tell me you are 20 years, I will be forced to give you the attention of a 20-year-old rather than a 40-year-old. And there are some test results, there are some prescriptions that will suit the 40-year-old, and that will be missed. Rather, I will be forced to maybe post a diagnosis within that age group of 20 years and do a medical prescription within that age group, which may be toxic to the body. So there are lots and lots of complications, side effects of either increasing the age or reducing the age medically, especially with treatment plan. In the hospital, we do the prescriptions based on the age, the weight, the sex, and there are certain pathologies that are peculiar within a particular age group. So for whatever reason, if one should reduce or increase the age, when you get to the hospital, make sure you reveal your real age to the physician. It's very important in order to avoid the complications or the toxic side effects of medical prescriptions.
And now, Dr. Glory Beteke Anye, you are a medical doctor, which means you receive patients 10, 20 at times on a daily basis. And most times when the prescription is being done, or before it's being done, you guys have to ask for the ages or the age of the patient in front of you. Why?
There are certain pathologies that are common within a certain age group that you may not find within another age group. For instance, hypertension. As from 40, 45 years, 50, one should start thinking of maybe hypertension. It's true, diabetes you can be born with, diabetes type 1 you can be born with, but there are some of these comorbidities that will go with this kind of age. Now, if you decrease your age and maybe you are 45 years old and you are suffering from maybe a constant headache or tiredness or dizziness, at 20, if you tell me you're 20 years, the first impression may not be hypertension. I may start thinking, reflecting on perhaps it is malaria, perhaps it is a stress, irrespective of taking some of the vital parameters like the blood pressure and all of that. And if we take the blood pressure and we realize that there is an increase in the blood pressure, now we may start thinking of some pathologies linked to some organs like maybe the adrenal gland that can equally increase the blood pressure. But perhaps it's because it's your age that is responsible for that. Then we may miss that, and prescription that may be given to such a patient may now, rather than helping the patient, may rather bring side effects to the patient. So it's always very important we take into consideration the age, the weight as well. Medical prescriptions are done based on the weight, especially within the pediatric unit. And now, also to mention, as I earlier said, physiologically, as we age, the body equally changes. Now, the body gets more of fatty tissues and less of water. So, if you give a kind of prescription to an elderly one whose metabolic activity cannot be able to eliminate such a waste product, it will stay within the system and it will rather result to maybe some other comorbidities, maybe renal failure, cardiac, hepatic. So it's very important within the medical practice that we deal with the age, with the sex.
And now, doctor, there is this practice or this idea which is somehow very misleading. People out there thinking that there are some drugs or medications meant for kids and the other ones for adults. So you can pick up any medication, and if you're an adult, you just take it, or if you're a kid or if you have a child, you just administer to the child because it's for children. For adults, you just give them without considering the age. What can you make of that as a medical practitioner, a physician?
Well, that's why we will remain, in quotes, poor, because with such, it's a mentality issue. The pharmaceutical companies, they produce the medications based on these various weights and ages. Now, I cannot just give a medical prescription maybe within a huge age range, and I just think, well, maybe from 0 to 15 years, I should prescribe a particular medication. Maybe a 0 to 5 years may tolerate, but a 14 to 15 years may not tolerate. So if you are 15 years, you come in front of me and you tell me you're 5 years. It's true, it's within that young age group. The prescription will not be the same. So it's a mentality issue. It's very important, again, to declare your real age to the medical practitioner once you go to hospital.
Dr. Glory Beteke, you are a doctor. So you receive so many patients every day, like I earlier indicated. And I'm sure there have been instances where you have received people who have given you their ages and then you doubt it. If that has ever happened to you, how did you handle it?
Right, we come over such cases like on a daily basis. With the experience on the field, sometimes we are able to quickly spot out if someone is telling us the right age or not. Yeah, there are several of such that you really see someone, especially for ladies, who come in front of you, oh, I've not been able to give birth, oh, I'm 26 years old. But you look at her, she's like 38, 40, and you have to work out all the possible exams, all the possible physical to come out with a good diagnosis for that age group. So in that way, the patient will even end up spending a lot of money. So such cases, we like handle them every day, but it gets so costly for the patient as well.
And have you ever, in your practice as a medical doctor, bluntly tell a patient to tell you the real age because you doubted the person's age?
Yeah, severally, and you see those that, oh doctor, you see, when we were preparing for the competitive entrance exams, my age was this, we had to do that. You know, we are within a system that will push people to do things, not because they want to do things. Imagine you finish school and you have been roving from one office to the other for job, and it's not forthcoming. The years keep passing, and suddenly there's an entrance exam which tells you 20 years to 25 years, and maybe you are 30 years, and you're in daily what. So such cases, then you hear the narratives, we get them every day. And when I have such a patient, I'll take the patient in a kind of calm and peaceful way. Psychologically, I set them on the rail to be able to give the real age, and often the real ages always come out.
And now, Doc, we know that most people who are into age fraud, those who are noted for always reducing their ages, are most often sporters, footballers, to be more precise. Like recently, we just heard in the report by Smart Jiken Gabriel that some players, under 17 players of the Unified competition, were rejected in Cameroon, and also in Chad, or from Chad, they were rejected because they noticed after the test that they were overaged. What can actually push people to do that, to reduce their ages somehow, and can that be of their disadvantage?
Thank you. Just to mention that the age can easily be deduced from the length of the bones, maybe the bone structure, so it's very easy to spot out players who come and tell you, oh, we are 16, we are 17, but that because the bone, the representation of the bones for the various age group will easily tell us. Now, I can't tell maybe a 50-year-old to go jogging because I want that person maybe to reduce in weight. I'll tell you, walk. There are certain exercises that are okay for a particular range of age. Now, 16, 17, 20, you can jog. So it's very vital for a good age the real age of the patient to be declared to the medical practitioner. Like maybe a 20-year-old with hypertension, now will tell you, you can do such and such. But for a 50-year-old, 60-year-old, we can't tell you to jog as a 20-year-old. So sometimes the heart cannot carry. You know, with sports, the rate of the blood pumping through the heart will increase. So the more we age, the more the physiological changes, again, I come back to that, they will equally be changing, the metabolic process will equally be changing. So the muscles equally, they'll be getting weak. When you do heart sports, they are weak. They will not be able to contain the rate at which the heart is pumping fast. It can easily lead to maybe a heart failure or something on the pitch. So it's very important. There are certain exercises that are reserved only for some particular age group. And in adults or in the older age, strolling, walking, suits.
So those really sporters who reduce their ages to their disadvantage?
Highly, because the heart needs to pump. It's the heart that is pumping the blood, that carries the oxygen, that carries the food to supply to the rest of the body. So if the muscles of the heart are weak, the pumping mechanism will be affected, and you can easily just give up in that way on the pitch.
And now, Doctor, we are at the end of the interview. As a medical practitioner, so many persons in our society may be out of ignorance or whatsoever reason into age fraud. They reduce their ages. What can you advise? What advice can you give to them so that they don't do that out of ignorance, and finally it has a heavy or huge negative consequence on their health?
First, I think that to the government, they are really trying now to track down this age reduction. Now the councils, most councils are being now attached to hospitals in a way that once a child is born, the birth declaration directly is from the council, no more handy. So at least to the government, that move is good to help to check that. Now to those who find themselves in situations where they want to lie, when you do that for a living, in front of the medical practitioner, because it's about your health, it's about your life. Any medical prescription wrongly done because you gave a wrong age will kill you. So when you are in front of the physician, the medical doctor, make sure you tell your real age so that they can help you and help the medical practitioner to help you. Thank you very much, Equinoxe. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you to Dr. Glory Beteke-Anye for accepting to talk to us on Talking Points tonight. Thank you very much for those clarifications. And viewers, we thank you so much for always being there. Don't go away, our programs continue as usual. The news in the French language comes up at 8 p.m. Bye-bye for now.
Equinoxe Télévision, au-delà de l'image, nous rendons compte.
If you suspect you may have a coronavirus infection, please call your healthcare provider in advance and let them know you are coming. This can help them be prepared. WHO recommends preventive measures to reduce your risk